at 5, dozens of people gathered at UMD today to protest faculty working conditions. The University Education Association of Duluth held a rally on campus this afternoon. The UEA has been negotiating with the University of Minnesota for a new contract since May. The group is calling for more parental leave, job security, and dedication instruction time with the students. John Schwetman, president of the UEA, says their work at UMD is going well overall, but more needs to be done.
We do believe strongly that a strong University of Minnesota is going to be strong not only in the metropolitan center, but it's going to be strong in all corners of the state. And we think we're really doing valuable work here, bringing these opportunities to northern Minnesota and to sort of greater Minnesota.
Schwetman says UMD is facing major budget cuts, not because they're in a financial crisis, but because of insufficient support. University spokespeople say they have made meaningful efforts to reach agreements on a new contract, but there are some still key issues that remain. They're set to have a mediation session later this month.